Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Cradle News Roundup, your one-stop shop for all news West Asia. My name is Esteban Carrillo, and I'm joined as usual by my friends and colleagues, content creator and writer for The Cradle, Karim Shami, and columnist and editor for The Cradle, Sharmin Narwani. And as usual, please, as soon as you arrive, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to leave a comment, to subscribe as well, to check out our memberships here on the YouTube channel, and of course, underneath the video, you will find a link that will take you directly to our Patreon page, where for as little as $5 a month, you can become a direct supporter of the Cradle. And of course, special thanks to all of you who have become Patreons. Also, thanks to all of the new subscribers. We have grown a pretty good amount over the past couple of weeks. So thanks to all of you. Guys, I feel like, yesterday I was saying, I feel like we're talking about the same thing every day. I feel like someone was listening, because today we have so many different things to discuss. But of course, we need to talk about Iran's rate of daily strikes over the past week, which has, on a daily basis, increased. Donald Trump, again, just a couple of hours ago, was claiming that Iran's military is obliterated. And, you have Pete Hegseth saying they aren't firing anything anymore. Yet, as the graph on screen shows, over the past 6 or so days, Iran has incrementally increased their daily strikes, drone swarms, ballistic missile strikes. Then, of course, that includes what we just saw a couple of hours ago: direct hits in Haifa, inside Israel, of the oil refinery, and also an attack that caused a power outage. These a few hours after Iran attacked several oil refineries and natural gas installations across the Persian Gulf, hitting particularly hard Qatar energy installations, which has prompted the Qatari foreign ministry and the government to say that about 17% of their LNG production capability has essentially been shut down, or not shut down, but put out of commission, and pushing them to apparently consider declaring force majeure on a number of foreign contracts. I mean, the United States keeps claiming that Iran has no military capabilities anymore, but the evidence points to the absolute contrary. And before I let you guys go on, let me just mention, today CENTCOM also announced that Iranian missile defenses recently hit a stealth F-35 warplane flying over Iran. I mean, as the thumbnail of this video says, this really is shaping up to be the worst day of the war for the US and Israel.
Look at that.
This is footage.
Yeah,
F-35.
the United States said that it landed in a base in the region.
Well, the United States also said Iran has no more missiles. So
exactly.
And that there's a laundry fire. And,
that laundry fire.
Whatever on their.
They really should have cleaned the lint on that laundry room, huh?
There needs to be on Times Square a thing of Trump with a nose growing for every lie he's caught in.
So many by this point.
We'll reach Delaware in 2 days.
But, for a while, we have been hearing, we have been hearing many things. But one thing we have been hearing is we have degraded Iran's capabilities. And, the opposite seems to be true. But the other thing we've been hearing is the US and Israel and all of their Gulf allies are running out of interceptors. So this kind of seems, in particular after the past 24 hours, like the self-fulfilling prophecy, Iran keeps firing. Now it's hitting even deeper, more strategic targets, and apparently using missiles that we haven't seen used before.
Yeah, exactly. Today, the Iranian army, the IRGC, they published an official statement saying that they used a new missile called Nasrallah in their attacks on Haifa, as we see on the screen. And of course, before them announcing that, the Israeli media announced that this looks like a new missile, and it was difficult to intercept. It made more damages, and it was more accurate. Later on, the IRGC announced that it's a new missile called Nasrallah, and of course, we know that they called it like this after the late Secretary General of Hezbollah, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. And of course, this shows that that Iran is willing to escalate not only in the Gulf but also in Israel, and has the capability till now, after 20 days, to hit any target they said they will hit. And they threatened the Israelis and they hit them, and the same applies to the Gulf. We saw the fires in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia and in different places, and in the UAE, despite these countries, including Israel, doing their best to hide images and videos taken from the scenes.
I mean, these pictures that we have on screen from Haifa are something else. 20 days into the war.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I think the Iranians, they had the capability, but they didn't want to be the first ones to initiate these attacks, because these attacks, they are very dangerous, not only on the country that is being hit, but also on the world. So the United States and Israel, they initiated the war. So we saw what happened in the region. It's on them, of course. And now Israel hits gas field for Iran, and Iran retaliates in Israel and in other places across the region. So I mean, it's also upon them. Yes, Sharmeen. But 1 second, because also several Western leaders condemn the attack, because they know how dangerous it is, and of course Trump had to go and say, oh, I had nothing to do with it, although the media, the U.S. media, and all the leaks suggest otherwise.
That was insane, his statement. Go ahead, Sharmeen.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know that this was a dangerous thing. They've been doing it to Iran all along. But there is an escalation ladder in military parlance. And since Iran has anticipated a long war, it was never going to do what the Americans and Israelis do, which is they try to shock and awe, right? And then they don't have many target banks after that, which is why they hit civilian populations. That's really what I wanted to say. I'm looking for something.
No, I think, Karim.
Yes.
What do you think about the footage of the F-35? Because in particular, we often say, Sharmeen always teases you that you don't believe things until you see them, right? Until you have the footage.
Oh, he was the first to message me. I immediately got a message saying, hitting.
They hit an F.
And you know what I answered? I answered, show me video.
No, I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we saw it. At first, despite if it was downed or the pilot died or it really landed safely, this is a big thing in the world. This happened after 20 days, and this shows us that the Iranians are able to target an F-35. The F-35, we know the propaganda behind it and all the documentaries and videos and influencers that talk about F-35, that it can be seen. But we saw it on the video, and at least till now, the Americans said, yes, something happened to F-35 and had to land, make an emergency landing in the region, meaning in some Gulf country, I guess. So what does that mean? That means also that Trump said today that we can fly wherever we want in Iran, and also this applies psychological effects on the pilots of F-35s and other airplanes that are flying illegally in Iranian spaces. And if I am for instance, F-35 pilot or even F-16 pilot, I would say, okay, they were able to target an F-35. My jet is even weaker, for instance. So this also plays a big role in the war, and of course,
demoralizing the enemy.
I don't think any general in the United States want to be the one in command of a pilot that gets hit above Iran.
And it's interesting that just to add a bit of context, because Donald Trump was meeting with the Japanese Prime Minister as CENTCOM was announcing this and as Iran was releasing the footage. And yet, of course, he claims Iran's air defenses have been completely decimated. How can you believe him anymore? Anything.
To the Strait of Hormuz, which doesn't even seem like a problem compared to the hitting of the North and South Pars gas fields. And all the strikes that Iran did on enemy targets overnight and today. These ships aren't moving in the Persian Gulf. Southeast Asian countries are already rationing gas. South Asian countries are rationing gas. The Habshan Fujairah pipeline, which is the UAE's only way to get oil other than through the Strait, right? That is no longer moving, I think, oil. And then the other thing to consider is all of these things being taken offline, either from strike damage or just by turning off facilities. It's not a joke, apparently. I mean, the engineers watching this can tell us, but in some cases they're saying it could take months and even a year to get things back online, depending on how bad the damage is.
In Qatar, it could even be decades if they actually, start destroying more of the infrastructure.
Well, I haven't heard that number. I've heard like a year or so. But then the only other way of getting oil now is through the Saudi East-West pipeline that originates in Yanbu is it the east of Saudi Arabia? Yeah. And crosses over the territory to the Red Sea. I saw Western media headlines saying 3-point-something million barrels to be delivered to the Red Sea. That could change too. It depends. We keep thinking, we hear Trump is really beleaguered by this domestically and internationally, what he started, and then he doubles down the next day. So, there's a point at which the cost is so huge to him to continue, but we obviously haven't reached there yet. There's another really important development is that Iran has now formalized setting up a shipping corridor through Hormuz, allowing select vessels to pass through. Okay, we got reports that one tanker had to reportedly pay around $2 million for transiting. Less than 10 ships have used the route near Larak Island. That's the place we were talking about earlier in one of our podcasts. The IRGC folks, are verifying vessels, so they have to apparently now register for clearance, provide IDs, prove ownership, prove a number of things.
Haven't they set up a corridor between two Iranian islands for the ships to transit?
I think that's the Larak Island corridor. But the traffic nonetheless remains minimal as Iran sets up this formal procedure to gain clearance for vessels. But for those of y'all railing against India and its behaviors, we understand that the Indians are not having an easy time. We reported and we heard that several Indian vessels had been allowed through, right?
Yes,
was it in the last week or so? But yes. Apparently there are 22 Indian vessels that are have been refused permission. So this is, again, not verified by me or the Cradle yet. So they have been refused to pass the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has demanded that India first return 3 ships, okay, that the Indians had seized in February during a time where it was trying to please the Americans. And the Indians had said that the ships were trying to conceal identity. Clearly they're Iranian ships. So Iran is apparently saying that these 3 tankers have to be returned before Indian vessels are allowed through the Strait of Hormuz. So, it's applying. I guess Iran is, genuinely, let's look at this completely impartially. It's come under attack, very, very serious attacks, the likes of which the country has never seen before, and the region has never seen, in this way for this length of time. You're right? And it's being attacked around its borders and further afield, right? So when Iran declared that it would expand this war horizontally, it made everyone therefore responsible. And so now it's saying, listen, we are the largest littoral state on this waterway, and we're now going to assert our position. If you're not waging war against us and you can prove your identity and you're not moving like, suspect things and flagging your ship falsely, etc., you will be able to move. There might be a price to pay for some. I don't know the ship that had to pay $2 million, or maybe it was yen or yuan. Sorry, we don't know. Nonetheless, I think this is very interesting, and it could something that could remain in place for years as leverage until the surrounding Persian Gulf states agree to a regional security arrangement and checks and verifications that suits everyone.
Indeed. Just to what I said earlier about what Qatar Energy said, they announced that the Iranian attacks cut 17% of their LNG capacity for up to 5 years. So it's very dangerous, the game that Israel is playing with the Pars field in particular, because as I said there, I have seen estimates that say that if more of it is destroyed, or even all of it is destroyed, then we're talking about decades to be able to access what is at the end of the day, the world's largest the world's largest natural gas reserves in the Pars field.
So what's interesting also, Esteban, because there's been a lot of lies since we were doing our podcast yesterday and reporting this with no information, right? And that we were told U.S.-Israeli strikes, and then Trump denied it. All of this was happening while we were on.
Yes.
Today, the dust has settled a bit, and we've learned that Trump, in fact, denied that he had launched these strikes or was involved in them, and he even claimed that he had no knowledge of the of Israel striking Iran's South Pars field. That was debunked entirely. Two U.S. officials and several Israeli officials told Axios that, in fact, Trump did give permission for these strikes. This is a really, really big deal. And then he said he's ordered the Israelis not to do any more, right? After Iran struck Qatari fields back, right? And Qatar went ballistic. Don't forget, Qatar is the host of the CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command's headquarters in all of West Asia and beyond. So that happened. And then after the strikes, he then threatened them again. We're going to come harder, man, if you do this again, right?
We'll blow it all up.
And he said, this time I'm not going to get permission from Israel. I couldn't believe those words structured in a sentence, shared by the U.S. president.
You know what words I couldn't believe structured in a sentence? It was War Minister Pete Hegseth who said, this is not a forever war, but there is no timeline for when it's going to end, as he is asking the U.S. government to give him $200 billion extra to battle Iran, to wage this war. I always like to remind people of one little thing. The Pentagon has never passed a financial audit. It's only had 8 in its entire existence, and none of them have been approved. And Pentagon leaders cannot account for trillions of dollars. But let's give them $200 billion more, because this is not a forever war, but we don't have a timeline.
Give us $200 billion so we can mess it up even more. Let us show you how badly we can run wars. With $200 billion, what are they going to do? They're just going to, because they have the offensive projectiles, right? But they have nowhere to defend. So they're going to hit everything in Iran and just hope they hit some launchers and missile production facilities. It's very clear now they don't know where they're hitting. Something really worth mentioning is flight tracker, Karim. So we have an image of flight tracker.
You mean the Saudi, right?
Yesterday, identifying a refueling jet plane above Saudi Arabia around the time of the strike on the Iranian South Pars gas field. Obviously, the Israeli jets would have turned off, whatever, to detect them.
Whatever you call them,
Yeah. Are transponders for ships or also for planes?
I honestly don't know. Karim, do you know?
In
Taylor's not
English,
paying
no.
attention.
In English, you know, in Arabic. Tell us in Arabic.
So here's the thing. So this has been identified, which is crazy because it shows, all right, the Israelis using Saudi airspace to hit GCC ally Qatar's. I mean, their reason, the reason they exist, that
Shared
gas
gas
field.
field, yeah.
You know, it's the third biggest gas field in the world, and Qatar is tiny, like a pinprick almost. It accounts for all its wealth. And what I want to ponder here, and I know what Karim would say to this, but have these Gulf countries now devolved into a situation where they can't even tell the Americans that they can't use their airspace anymore, much like in Iraq?
It does feel
Okay.
like
And I mean, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that, because clearly these Gulf countries do not want to be on the receiving end of any more Iranian fires to their industrial base, to their oil and gas base, you know, financial infrastructure, desalination plants, water plant, the whole lot. So why would they ever allow this? It's not like they can't see the Americans failing, right? And the Iranians scoring. They can see that. Do they think more American flights to, you know, hitting random targets that they know nothing about in Iran is going to gain them anything other than becoming the recipient of Iranian fires? No. So it's an important question that's sort of hanging out there for me. Like, are these countries approving U.S. overflights or launches from their territory at this point, or do they have no control anymore?
Before Karim gives us his thoughts, please, people, make sure to hit that like button. We are closing in on 800 people live and only about 300 and change likes. We really need your help in that regard. Please, Karim, let us hear your thoughts.
Yeah, first, sorry, I want to read the Israeli army just now. They said that since since the beginning of the war, in March 2, Hezbollah has fired 700 projectiles into Israeli targets, and we know that one of the projectile reached was 200 kilometers away from the border, and most of them are concentrated in the north.
Did you see that Hebrew media actually said it was 375 kilometers, that it was actually an even longer than initially reported?
Yeah, maybe. Well, what I saw, the last report I saw was 200 kilometers, which is significant. You don't need more than 200 kilometers. We always say that Israel is a very small country and vulnerable country. If you hit it, yani. That's why when we talked about the projectiles that hit Haifa, Iran has the capability, and even Lebanon, of course, under Hezbollah, have the capability to target these facilities, but they didn't because they don't want to initiate such big damages and open like the box of escalation. But Israel did it, and we'll see what will happen, because also Trump threatened Iran. He said that if you continue to bomb the oil and gas facilities, we will bomb your energy sector. On the other hand, also he said that he didn't know that Israel bombed it, and he said that Israel will not bomb it again. But now Iran is retaliating. We don't know what they will consider that. Will they consider that they denied what Trump said, for instance, although Iran has the right to retaliate? Because we're seeing that now the Americans are being more flexible. Yeah, for instance, today the Secretary of Treasury, if I'm not mistaken, he said that we are considering to allow Iran to pass through the Strait of Hormuz with their oil shipments, which is
he said lifting sanctions on the stranded oil.
Yeah, on the stranded Iranian oil. That's what I read.
Iranian oil, exactly.
Yeah, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what will happen. And also today, also Trump said that our goals in this war is different than the Israeli goals. If I'm not mistaken, it was Trump who said it.
And but both Tulsi Gabbard, when she was testifying, was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
And was it Hegseth or whoever was giving the goals today had the same goals. I noticed they finally got together and listed 3 goals.
It took 20 days, but they did it.
It took 20 days.
And the funniest thing that they are lying about, for instance, today Hegseth said that there is no schedule for the war, and Trump said we are ahead of schedule. And this also doesn't make sense.
Let me add to that, actually, because right now Times of Israel is reporting that the chief of staff of the Israeli army has said Israel is not even halfway through its campaign against Iran.
Yeah, exactly. And let us not forget the biggest weapon that Iran possesses, which is the Strait of Hormuz. Till now, there is no plan, or there is no will even to open the Strait of Hormuz, because if the United States wants to open the Strait of Hormuz, they should use high firepower, more ships, maybe more air campaigns, and they clearly they don't want to go there, at least till now, what we know from the U.S. media. And also the prices of the oil is still rising, and let me check now how much.
I think today it went past 119 Brent. It's currently at 108.
Yeah, but now between 8 and 9. So and let us not forget that the Trump administration, they already took many measures to counter the increasing prices. What other measures they can take, I don't know.
I mean, remember that just a couple of days ago, when Trump was railing about all his NATO allies not joining in the war, what was being said was that they wanted to form some sort of paper coalition just to put out the announcement and ensure that this would bring the prices down without any intention to actually going,
Yeah, 100%. Already they took the big decisions, meaning they announced that they will use 173 million barrels of their strategic reserves. This is the biggest thing that they took decision of, and they also said that some taxes on the energy in some states will be reduced.
And they removed a whole bunch of sanctions on Russian.
Yeah, 100%. This is the also, which is what I'm saying. These are huge things. These are the biggest cards that they have, and they were used in the first 2 weeks. So what I'm saying is that everybody is expecting the oil to increase, and the cards of the West are being used, so they can't counter that maybe after 1 week or 10 days. Exactly. Which also will exert pressure on the military, on the political body of the United States, on the economy, on everything.
I think I'm gonna switch gears a bit here, guys, because I feel like we should mention something else that happened today, and that was yet another direct strike on press by the Israeli military. Right? They say their campaign isn't even over. They're ethnically cleansing the south of Lebanon, actively moving to move their genocide from Gaza towards the south of Lebanon. And today, a crew for RT, Russia Today, was directly attacked by the Israeli military. The reporter, I'm spazzing out on his name, but the reporter, a British journalist, Steve Sweeney, and Ali Reda. And this is footage from what happened today. Karim, if you don't mind, let's mute this just in case, But it's one of the wildest scenes of this war so far. And we know Israel kills journalists. That's not news. For 3 years in a row, they have been named as the leading cause of death for journalists worldwide by the Committee to Protect Journalists. They have killed hundreds of journalists in Gaza. They have killed dozens of journalists in Lebanon. Yesterday, they killed an Al-Manar TV correspondent in his home with his entire family. And today, they target Steve Sweeney, a British journalist working for a Russian news outlet, reporting from the south of Lebanon with what appears to be, Scott Ritter said this, a variation of U.S. munitions. This is in a day as today, in which we feel that there's like so many news, this almost kind of is taking a side. It's being pushed to the side, but of course, it's of incredible importance to show that Israel, almost 3 years into this genocide, weeks into this renewed campaign in South Lebanon, is still with complete impunity and arrogance targeting journalists directly.
Yeah.
And
putting. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Karim.
No, I just want to thank super chat. It's from Mandalorian. Karim got his wish of the F-35 video. Really, I did. It's died today. It's died. Thank you. And he also asked, do you think countries will pay tolls at the Strait of Hormuz for reparations?
They paid $2 million today. Who knows what that was for?
Yeah, I think they might.
They might have no other option.
Yeah, there is no option because also Iran is not an Arab state, unfortunately, because they know how to act during the war. And for instance, in Lebanon never pushed for the reconstruction or the damage that were inflicted by Israel to be paid by Israel. And we know, for instance, there's a famous, I think, Italian journalist, when he asked in the UN, the chairman, why are you asking Russia to pay for Ukraine for the damages, but you're not asking Israel to pay Gaza for the damages? He was fired. So this mentality, the West and the Israelis always push to show or to destroy the idea of weaker nations, to ask for compensations from bigger nations. And Iran, this is the number one demand, and it was very clear, day one. They want the money back. Either the United States should pay them, the Europeans, the Gulf countries, and if not, they will take money from the Strait of Hormuz. That's my opinion.
This could become the most expensive toll booth in global history.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A comment in the
about the journalist.
Says Tulsi Gabbard's career just went down like the F-35, which actually gets to my next point. Karim, I've sort of put a video in our chat, in our group. If you could pull that up. It is basically, we're talking when Tulsi Gabbard testified yesterday, she put Pakistan in the US's crosshairs. Now, this is insane. This is how you get treated when you're a bootlicking nation, okay? And your chief of your military is a bootlicker that lives in Washington more than in Islamabad, okay? This is what happens. Like India, Modi, look at how the US has flip-flopped on them, just like they do on Pakistan, all right? Throw them under the bus 1 minute, and then reel them in when they're needed. Now, don't forget.
Do I play it?
Wait, not yet. I want to say, okay, go ahead. Go play it first.
However, the intelligence community assesses that Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and Pakistan have been researching and developing an array of novel, advanced, or traditional missile delivery systems with nuclear and conventional payloads that put our homeland within range. However,
I mean, Pakistan. They're calling, like, literally, not India, all right? Pakistan. So this is kind of crazy. I don't know. I mean, all these offhand comments or uncoordinated comments, or, it didn't go through the right channels and it comes out here, that comment will be resonating across Pakistan from one border to the next all day today. I mean, it's quite astounding. And don't forget, the Israelis, Netanyahu specifically, has said before, Pakistan's next, we will not allow a Muslim country to have a nuclear bomb. Israel has also said this about Turkey. Watch the US, government turn on Turkey too. I'm saying these people who have played in the middle and sat on the fence, these countries that have done so, India, Pakistan, Turkey, and others, are going to have to make a decision really soon. I don't know that they have the backbone, though.
I think
To be honest.
it's interesting, Tulsi's comments in particular to Pakistan, because we have to remember the current Pakistani government was imposed by the U.S. Embassy. This is a pushist government that
Doesn't
has been
matter.
persecuting the party of Imran Khan, who is, been in prison for the past several years under trumped-up charges. And also, it's oh my God, I completely lost my train of thought. It was something to do with the situation with Pakistan. But yeah, as you said, Charmaine, they are being positioned as the next threat, right? Any
And
Islamic
why?
nation.
And why? No U.S. interest there. Complete Israeli interest there. I mean, countries like Turkey and Pakistan really need to pay attention. There is an anti-Muslim sentiment. Did you guys see that? I don't know if it's.
I remember, if you will let me just add, in the Epstein emails, he actually names Imran Khan as probably a bigger threat than Putin or Erdogan, etc. So it's like things to keep in mind. Sorry, I just wanted to add that. Finish my point.
Yeah, in the UK now. I mean, look at the. Oh, it's so bloody coordinated. In the UK, you had that Muslim prayer in advance of the Eid. I think it was the Eid holiday in Trafalgar Square, and UK politicians lashing out like, how dare they? They've taken over our country. Sorry, you can go in public and celebrate all holidays in the United Kingdom, but not Muslims and not Muslim ones. So there is it's the fascism, the general fascism we've seen build up everywhere. Shouldn't be targeted at Muslims in particular, but it is, and that is an Israeli narrative. That is what Israel has worked on since the day it was the day of its ugly birthing.
Thank you so much to Empire. We are one for their super chat, and F Chow as well, another super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity. If you haven't hit the like button, please make sure to do so. But Tulsi Gabbard spoke about other things yesterday too, and she kind of flip-flopped about her answer on whether Iran was a threat or not. Right, like in her in her address to the Senate, she avoided really answering this question, but then in the written statement, it's clearly stated that Iran hadn't even done anything to rebuild their nuclear facilities since the 12-day war, and U.S. intelligence was well aware of this. Now, of course, her statements in Congress came one day after Joe Kent quit, right? The counterterrorism chief quit. And yesterday he gave an interview with Tucker Carlson in which, boy, he spoke about many things, right? He said many interesting things. He again doubled down on saying it was Israel that dragged the U.S. into war. He said there was no room for dissent before this war was launched. Essentially, there was no room to approach President Trump or to be the dissenting voice and say, hey, everyone, our intelligence shows that Iran is not actually a threat. Why are we going to attack them? It was completely, an isolated room. Donald Trump and his closest advisors, of course, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, who now British diplomats and Gulf diplomats have essentially described as Israeli assets and absolute fools when it comes to the nuclear issue, who didn't even begin to comprehend what Iran had put on the table, which is described as a substantial offers from the Iranians to stop this war. And of course, Witkoff, Kushner dragged Donald Trump into war. Joe Kent also spoke about Charlie Kirk, some interesting comments. So I don't know if you guys saw his interview or you saw some of the clips, if you have any thoughts about the past couple of days when it comes to the U.S. intelligence community.
I think just like across many of the sort of, department of this, department of that in the U.S., there's probably internal wars raging. Obviously, imagine the Pentagon right now. They're what's his name? Who's the guy? No. Yeah. There's obviously a difference of opinion. And I asked Lawrence Wilkerson on our interview show, can you really blame this on Trump, or do you have to also blame the military advisors who were too scared to push back against Trump, right? But that I'm sure has ricocheted back into the Pentagon, into the top ranks of the military establishment. Certainly the middle ranks and the troops will be very upset by this and be pushing back. Why are you putting us in harm's way because of Israel? You know, when the counterterrorism chief is saying this is all because of Israel, that this is happening, that's going to make some rage happen. Don't forget, like the rank and file in the military in polls in the last elections showed that they were pro-Trump. They were Trump voters. It's as you got higher up that these people were not Trump voters. So the rank and file will be furious that Mr. America has done this because of Israel. And we're hearing this from a hand-picked guy that Trump selected, okay, and is now calling weak. It's quite something. I mean, the fallout will happen in the United States. You know, as we've mentioned before, the regime change may be happening in Washington and Tel Aviv as Iran drains the swamp, but it's unlikely to take place in Tehran.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Karen. Actually, I need to step away for 2 minutes, so please, guys, continue.
What are you cooking today?
I'll tell you in a minute. Hit that like button.
Tell us so we can, explain to our viewers what it is.
It's actually not too fancy. I'm just making some. I forget what it's called. It's fish.
Say
it's
pasta.
Fish.
Say pasta. خلاص.
Yeah, pasta. I'll see you in 2 minutes.
Right, because
So also I just want to add to your thoughts, Sharmeen. Also, let us not forget that now we are in 2026, not 2001. We are not after 9/11 attacks. The United States community and people and their army, they were unstoppable back then because they launched a war on all these countries. I know it's an illegal war and they have no right to do it, but they were backed by all the Europeans. They were backed by the Gulf countries. They were backed by their people back home, the army. So now it's different. Now it's very clear for everybody that this war started because there is at least some pressure that Netanyahu and Israel have on Donald Trump and his cabinet that forced the United States to enter such a war. The whole war is a miscalculation from the Americans. From the Israelis, they are happy because the United States want to be part of this war. And the United States, of course, it has like 10 times or 20 times more firepower than the Israelis. But of course, I think the entrance of Hezbollah and the missiles that Iran still is sending to Israeli targets, and millions are going underground every now and then. And of course, their airport is closed. Their southern port is still closed. Yeah, there is many things. So why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because previously, like 25 years ago, the American people were ready, for instance, to suffer because for them, in their mentality, although it's wrong, we are fighting the bad guys. We are getting revenge of what they did for us. But now this mentality is completely opposite, especially after October 7. And now every young American knows what is Israel and knows who has the right in the land. Despite some of them even knowing, they take the side of Israel. It's okay. That's their choice. But the majority now takes the side of Palestine. Not only that, they take the side of anything against Israel.
Iran. They are taking the side of Iran.
Yeah.
The amount of comments we heard from people who, like on our interview shows, especially, because thanks to all of you and the public out there, they have been getting quite a lot of views. And some even going viral. And so we have newcomers who don't know of the Cradle, and they're saying, like, I'm from X country in the West, I'm from Y country in the West, I'm with Iran. It just never did one expect this. Don't forget, propaganda is a frontline tool in war. This is why the U.S. administration is going into overdrive, trying to shut down criticism of the US's failures, right? Iran is doing no such thing in the sense that it's lousy at propaganda. It is just taking actions that it believes is right. and the world is rallying behind. But there are other things that are so interesting that are happening as a result of a perceived US failure. Okay. Perception is 100% of politics. I keep saying this. The perception of US failure has resulted in things like we discussed a few days ago, Malaysia completely tossing out the US trade deal that Trump made them sign. But today, the Mexican president announced that she would be providing fuel, is it right? Fuel to Cuba, meaning nobody's listening to US rules anymore. The next thing we see is the Department of Treasury's restrictions, right? Sanctioning individuals and countries will be disregarded. And then, you know, we've broken away from the hegemon's ability to enforce things even without kinetic action, right? It just says something and everyone complies. And that no longer is going to be tolerated, it seems. I'm not talking about by the people, I'm talking about by national leaders of major countries.
Yeah, also I want, Esteban, you're muted. I also want to add something, Sharmeen, yani, about what you are saying. Just now, a new piece of information came out from the Ministry of the American Foreign Ministry, and it says that Foreign Ministry, State
American.
That's what they're called. That's what it's called. State Department. The Foreign
State
Ministry.
Department.
Yeah.
It says that 70,000 Americans has returned to the United States from the Middle East.
From the
what?
Hey, I wanted.
Oh, Americans, not troops. Okay.
I wanted to add
Americans,
something about
which is a huge
about what you were saying, Charmaine, and it was just that the emperor is fully naked. And in particular, in this case, we are seeing, you know, how Cuba is getting the help from Mexico and also from Russia. Russia is sending 2 tankers full of fuel to break the U.S. blockade. Yesterday, we saw the arrival of the first mission of volunteers, you know, from the I think a peace collective that arrived in Havana with medical aid, with as much as they could carry. Essentially, I mean, kind of like a flotilla, right? That is also going to set there. It really feels like the war in Iran is accelerating what you're saying, right?
But
why
you know
do we
what
need
the
to
red
listen
line?
to you anymore?
Why, you know, the red line that still remains, and man, if this is broken, I will cry live on TV if we see the Russians, the Chinese, the Indians, any sort of like middle state or rising power deliver food and humanitarian aid to Gaza shores. That is what we need to see for the trance to be broken once and for all, because you're not just going to the heart of America's rules, but you're going to that thing you could never cross, even in America, which was Israel. You know, Karim, there's some super chats, please.
In the meantime, also let me say we have over 1,100 people watching, but only about 640 likes. Please hit that like button, everyone.
You put them up without reading the one from F. Chow. Transponders can be used on many different types of objects, like in space and satellites, aviation, maritime, automobiles. Thank you very much.
Now we know. There's another interesting development, and I want to hear your thoughts, Karim. I think you will be most up to date. The Iraqi resistance, Qatari Hezbollah, just put out an announcement a few hours ago saying that they would halt attacks on the U.S. embassy in Baghdad, which has been lit up like it's New Year's for about 2 weeks now, in exchange for Israel halting their attacks on Lebanon. They set very firm conditions, Qatari Hezbollah. What do you make of this? What do you think? And what is the situation in Iraq in particular?
Yeah, every now and then there is like unknown airplanes that are hitting Hashd al-Sha'bi, the PMU, in Iraq, especially on the border between Iraq and Syria. And also there's every day at least 2 times also unknown airplanes are targeting Baghdad and Babel and also Mosul. Of course, I'm saying unknown planes because the Iraqi government is so weak, they don't know who's hitting them. But of course, it's either an Israeli or an American warplanes or even drones. And of course, we saw that these factions, including Kataib Hezbollah, they are inflicting real damages in Iraq and in particularly north of Iraq, the Kurdistan area. There's many videos of drones hitting the bases and hitting the consulates and hitting everything American there, including, for instance, apartments that are used by the Americans and even hotels. And also them saying this, of course, it's not, I don't think it will be accomplished, but it's a generous thing from them to think about Lebanon because, as I said before, Lebanon has no allies and the government, they think that they are stopping the war. If you today read what Nawaf Salam and the president are talking about, they are detached from reality.
Salam?
They are detached from reality. They really think they have a leverage on the United States and Israel. They didn't have leverage on Bahrain. They don't have leverage. It's insane.
Can
Yes,
we please
Sharmeen.
play that clip by Anna and the Young Turks? I mean, it's just to the point. These are American journalists who are pointing out something that's so obvious in Lebanon. So obvious.
Let's hear it.
If I were the leader of Lebanon, I would demand that my military join forces with Hezbollah to defend my country. That's what I would demand.
And by the way, the leaders of Lebanon, you think like the leaders of UAE, you think if you make a deal with the Israelis, you're going to be safe?
Oh, they're always
Go ask the United Arab Emirates. So what happened to Dubai and all those places?
Bingo.
They thought, if we make a deal with the Israelis, then they'll protect us. No, and the Israelis convinced the Americans to only defend Israel. And UAE got hit all over the place. And their pact with Israel only screwed them over. And these
Idiots in Lebanon. Wait, we didn't finish it. Okay.
I can't finish it.
Yeah, finish it.
idiots in Lebanon, not the Hezbollah, but the leaders are like, oh yeah, if we just help them kill our own people, then later they'll be nice to us. No, brother, after they take southern Lebanon, guess what they're gonna take next? Northern Lebanon.
Yeah,
I love that you got a Turk and an Armenian schooling the Lebanese government as they should be schooled every minute of every day.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane in Lebanon. The propaganda and the people that, for instance, are against Hezbollah, when you talk to them like this, they think you are crazy.
Kenny, you know what? These
Yes.
these guys who talk a lot in Lebanon, they're like the biggest cowards. They're the ones,
Exactly.
running out of town and going to stay at their chalets or their mom's chalet or their dad's whatever when something happens. And then when they think that the political pendulum is swinging their way, they start to strut and get their big fat cigars between their big fat fingers. No, I just want to say, and then what happens when the pendulum swings the other way? Silence.
Exactly.
They're cowards. And at the end of this, one hopes, that not the regular people, because they've been heavily propagandized. They have been heavily propagandized, Karim, from within their families or from the U.S. Embassy's billion-dollar expenditure on media and advertisements in Lebanon.
TV.
Yeah, exactly. But the leaders who have incited this kind of discourse and actually made Shia legally, in many ways, targets for the enemy, these people need to go to jail.
Not only Shias, Sharmeen. There's big percentage of Christians in Lebanon that they are against
I'm not
Israel.
talking about that. The racism we have seen since
of course.
Nasrallah's death and the ceasefire in particular. I mean, I've been going there for 15 years. I've never, ever seen anything like this. And, they're not a majority at all, but they're a very, very loud minority, right?
Yeah,
science.
exactly. And don't forget also in Lebanon, we have a big section of people that are with the strong. We saw it when Syria was, which is also, yeah, and it's comic what happened in Lebanon in the year 2005, 2006. We had like, let's say, let me not exaggerate, let me say like 60% of our deputies in the parliament, they were all a bunch of people that are aligned politically with Syria, okay? And all of them used to go with Syria. So what happened when Syria went out of Lebanon between 2005 2006, the same people saw, no, who is powerful now in Lebanon? They went to the Gulf countries and some went to the French. And now there is no French in Lebanon, for instance. They go to the Americans or they expand to the UAE. Now they are sitting, I think, in front of the world and thinking, what should we do now? Do we start opening like channels with the Iranians? We have many zaims or many leaders in Lebanon. They are like this. They have their own people that they pay them or they like create jobs for them.
There is an Arab worship of the winner, okay? And I think that's why they've stayed entranced by the Americans and the British and whatever so long. Though most of it is propaganda, right? But they just buy into it. We have this young family friend, I'm going to call him out here, Sweet Nabil, medical student. And he, during the course of the last 2.5 years, I mean, even before that, he went from being like a liberal, he's American as well, went from being a liberal to like, you know, criticizing the Lebanese resistance movements and stuff, but, you know, identifying with Palestine a bit. And then when his and Gaza had happened, right? The after October 7th started to be like, yes, right? So he's Sunni, right? So he's yes, this is all good and stuff. And then when, you know, Operation True Promise 1 and 2 happened, it was like, yes. And then, you know, after the ceasefire, it's like, oof, you know, no, they had the wrong mind, the wrong direction. And now he's back with the resistance axis. I just heard this today. I see this in real time all the time. You know, it's crazy. All right, guys, think for yourself or just watch The Cradle.
Watch The Cradle, please. Watch The Cradle. You know, Karim, speaking of the resistance axis, you gave us a bit of a rundown of Iraq, but over the past 24 hours, and we mentioned this a few minutes ago, the Hezbollah missile that went at least 200 kilometers into into Ashkelon in the Gaza envelope. At the same time, and I don't know if the number has gone up, maybe you do, they targeted at least 6 Merkava tanks in the border and, you know, set up ambushes, several. The fighting is very intense in the border with Lebanon, which is one of the reasons why we saw Israel try to kill a British journalist on the border today. But what updates or what information can you give us, Karim, about the situation internally?
Yeah, first regarding the 6 Merkava tanks, they were targeted in the same place, in the same village. It was not like the sum of one day. It was just a skirmish or a battle in one village in the south. And Hezbollah said that they targeted six Merkava tanks. Yes, and of course the Israelis, when this happens, they like put everything on fire and they start bombing like a radius around the incidents to
hysterically is usually the word.
Yeah, of course. And imagine on the TVs what they do. Imagine what they are doing when there is no people to watch or to record. So that's what's happening. Regarding what's happening in the land, as we said before, the Israelis are in some places in Lebanon, for instance, in Khiam, in Hula, in Taibe. There's different villages that they were able to enter. And yesterday, the speaker of the Israeli army, he said in some places we are deep as 5 kilometers, which is around maybe 3 miles inside Lebanon. But as Hezbollah statements and Al-Manar, which is the media outlet for Hezbollah, they said, yes, sometimes the Israelis enter like 4 kilometers, but they don't stay there. They go there, and then they are forced to go back. And there's also images that were released for Israelis in some houses on the borders. Of course, they are doing what they did in Gaza. They go and like take pictures
Destroy.
with clothes and
With
I
the
don't know
underwear.
why. Yeah,
With
yeah,
the women's
something
underwear.
like this.
They love that. They love doing that.
Yeah, so
There's-
that's yes. Tell me. So
There's
till
another
now,
question.
but I just want to clarify this. Till now, there is no major breach in the south, for instance. Yani meaning there is no point that where Israel is and is safe. And we can know this because the Israelis, once they establish this, the first thing they do, they send the northern commander, the guy that looks like an egg. He goes there. And till now, we didn't see him. After 20 days, we didn't see him there, although he came to the north more than once during the past war.
I want to ask
Speaking
you
of Netanyahu, he is doing his press conference as we podcast, and I'm asking a friend, is there anything interesting he's saying? And the answer is zero, really boring, and then quotes him saying, "We're the strongest we've ever been. Iran is the weakest it's ever been."
Keep saying that. Keep saying that. Karim, I have another
He
question.
reminds me
about
with
this.
Tim Cook.
Oh, bear with us. I know you're tired of the shelters, but we are destroying them on land and underground.
Karim, there is another controversy inside Lebanon, and it has to do with the word resistance, right? I think it's Mukawama, a great song, by the way, also by Julia Boutros. They want to replace the word resistance with the word Hezbollah in official media in Lebanon, and this has caused, well, a bit of an uproar from what I'm seeing. What do you know about that?
Look, I know that they are trying to do that, and I know that they also tweeted that the Israelis killed Lebanese in a tweet, the Lebanese army on Twitter, and then they edited it and removed the word Israel. This is a typical thing that all the Arab leaders do, not only in Lebanon, and now it has been spread to Lebanon, meaning that whatever happens, for instance, in Jordan, look what happened in Gaza. Usually most of the statements, they fail even to mention, not condemn. They fail to mention Israel. They say, oh, look what's happening in Gaza. We have to stop this. Stop what, Habibi? Stop the Israeli aggression. They don't say it. The same applies now in Lebanon. I'm always telling my colleagues and my surroundings, Lebanon, unfortunately, currently is Jordan 2.0. The government will...
Breaking news, Netanyahu saying Israel is now a regional power and on the global stage. Achievements, total victory. Oh God, I can't even listen. I'm putting my phone away. Okay. Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah. Some comic relief there.
Yeah, so that's what's currently happening. Yeah, we are like Jordan, meaning that you can't talk about Israel. The narrative should be supportive of the narrative of the Israelis and the Americans, and we saw that under fire after all of what's happening, the head of the state wants to normalize with the Israelis. And Nawaf Salam, he did nothing. He did nothing till now, but running after Hezbollah and the weapons of Hezbollah, despite everything that we're living in. I'm talking about the 15 days. And now they are saying, they are making like in the media campaign, and their people are going to the TV and saying, we warn you, don't say that what's happening in Lebanon is because of the government. 15 months, Hezbollah did nothing, and Israel is striking, and the government was happy. They did the most thing that our government did since like 15 or 16 months now is that they mobilized everybody against a picture being put on a rock. This is the most thing that they did.
Yes, it's true.
And it was a picture of Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah on a rock in Beirut. Imagine. I'm not kidding. I'm not being like ironic or whatever. Ask any person in Lebanon what's the biggest thing that Nawaf Salam and the government did. They said, they will tell you this, and also they will tell you that they failed because normal people went to the streets and they put lights on the rock, which is insane.
They wanted to prosecute journalists for that too.
They're so loud when they perceive some strength coming their way. And the strength coming their way is really just hiding behind Israeli and American and French and British skirts, right? So let them talk while we walk. That's been my motto for years now.
Great motto, great motto. Guys, maybe I think we can wrap it up for today, unless you have any other breaking news or thoughts. We have about 1,200 people watching. Thank you to everyone who joined. Just make sure to hit that like button. It really is important. And after this video, after this stream is over, make sure to leave a comment underneath. That also helps get this content out to as many people as possible. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. Please also check out underneath in the description below this video. You can find a link that will take you directly to our Patreon page, where you can become a direct supporter of The Cradle for as little as $5 a month. Please support independent journalism, and please support The Cradle. Find us on our other social media channels as well, on X, on Telegram, and on Instagram. You can find us as TC Media News. And of course, special thanks to our Patreons and to Karim and to Charmin as well.
I just want to add this time. The Patreon thing isn't just, a campaign we launched in December. It coincides with so much going on in this region. And without going into details, we are in a situation where we really need people who sat on the sidelines and enjoyed our content, but just aren't used to subscribing to things like this and paying a monthly subscription, like myself, to be honest. But we are in a very difficult situation. So I implore y'all, if you can afford it, to step up and become a patron. And you will get the best maps weekly you have ever seen. Okay, first of all, as well as the opportunity to ask the three of us questions that we answer personally on video just for our Patreon subscribers. So thank you very much. Thanks, Esteban, Karim. See y'all tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
West Asia is always on the map, but rarely in its own voice. This region has been narrated by others for far too long. That's why The Cradle exists, to report from the region, not to speak over it.
Together, the United States
to tell stories with depth, precision, and no editorial leash. Because West Asia is more than just a theater of war. It's the corridor between continents, the energy artery of the world, the cradle of civilization. We don't take government orders. We don't serve corporate boards. We serve clarity, rarity, and rawness, no matter the risk. So if you believe this region deserves better than spin, support the people doing the legwork. Donate. Keep The Cradle independent.